Story time about how I've never farted in front of my boyfriend and can't even poop if he's in my house, which led me to pooping in my car by mistake. Disclaimer is not my story time, was sent to me on Instagram. My boyfriend and I have been together for 3 months. We are so in love and we met through a dating app. He even moved into my apartment. I know some might say it's quick, but it's just meant to be. We are so in love. We get along super well. We're so attracted to each other. Our sexy time is like amazing, like the best I have ever had. And I was the one that asked him to move in with me and he said yes right away. I actually thought he was going to say no, but he was so down for it that I was so happy. Before he moved in, he actually would come over to my house all the time and he started farting in front of me. It was cute, funny, whatever. But I can't bring myself to doing it in front of him. I can't even poo when he's in my apartment, much less could I poo when I was at his. So I found myself having to hold it in all day long. Anytime we would go to a restaurant, I would try to go, but sometimes I just couldn't go because I knew that he was there. It's all become very complicated. Now that he moved into my place, we love watching movies. So we were sitting on the couch watching a movie, and suddenly I felt the urge to go to the bathroom. There was no way I was going to go poop while he was there. Out of nowhere, I jump up and tell him that I have to go out. I get in my car, part 2 is up. Story time about how I can't fart in front of my boyfriend or even poop when he's in the same place as me, which caused me to poo in my car by mistake. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it's sending me on Instagram. Out of nowhere, I jump off the couch and tell him I have to go to the supermarket. He offers to go for me and I said no, but in hindsight, I should have said yeah, sure, you go, so that I could stay alone in the apartment by myself and go poo. I grab my keys and jump in the car, and then suddenly, I start pooping. I couldn't control myself. I couldn't believe it was happening right then and there. I stopped the car and pulled over and just pooped in my car. Luckily, I was wearing baggy pants, so you couldn't really notice it. Suddenly, I remembered I had an extra change of clothes in my car. I looked behind me and there it was, a pair of jeans. I take off my sweatpants and try to wipe myself as best as I could. And I actually went to a CVS, went into the bathroom, cleaned myself. I even bought baby wipes. Oh my god. I changed into the jeans and I got back in the car and went home. When I get home, my boyfriend says, "Did you just change?" Then I told him I ripped my pants somehow in the grocery store. And then he said, "You didn't bring anything back from the grocery store." And I didn't know what to say. Part 3 is up. Story time about how I can't fart in front of my boyfriend and this caused me to poop in my car by mistake. Disclaimer is not my story time, I was on me on Instagram. I told him that I had ripped my pants, so I changed into other pants. And then he asked, "But you didn't bring anything back from the supermarket." And I said, "Oh yeah, you're right." Then I told him that I went to CVS instead because I needed baby wipes, which I actually did buy them, so I showed them to him. But let's remember, I had just pooped on myself, so I really wanted to take a shower. So I tell him, "Hey babe, I'm actually gonna take a shower because I just got my period." Then he says, "But you just had your period last week." I just kept digging a bigger and bigger grave. Then he sits me down and says, "What's going on?" I just couldn't lie anymore. And I told him the truth, that I had pooped in the car because I didn't want to poop in the apartment because he was there. That's when he started laughing maniacally and told me that I was being so stupid. To this day, I still can't fart in front of my boyfriend. And I still can't go to the bathroom. I'm not sure how to fix this or how to even go about actually doing it for the first time, so maybe you guys have some ideas. Also, never going back to that CVS because I'm pretty sure I didn't put the pants in the trash and they were just lying on the floor and they saw me go in. What should I do? Story time about how my best friend and I beat up my husband after he hit me. Disclaimer is not my story time, it's sent me on Instagram. My husband and I have always had a really toxic relationship. He's always been extremely jealous and controlling. We've been together for 2 years, and within those 2 years, he's managed to separate me from all of my friends and my family. I still keep in contact with my family secretly whenever he's not around. I usually call my mom as soon as he leaves the house and I talk to her for about an hour. But my husband somehow always finds out when I'm talking to my mom. Sometimes I even think that he put cameras in our house so that he could watch me when he's not home. I usually work from home, so I'm always in my house, and he loves it that way. Even if I want to go to the supermarket, I have to call him and ask him for permission. But my best friend has always stuck by me. She comes over unannounced just to check up on me, and my husband hates her. He even told her one time that she needed to stay away from our house. But of course, she didn't listen to him. My husband has gotten physical with me in the past, but never as bad as this last time. We got into an altercation because I wanted to go out with my best friend. We just wanted to have a simple dinner, but he didn't want me to go. But I decided to dress up and I left the house. As I was leaving the house, he grabbed me and slapped me. Best friend was outside, came in, and she started punching him. So I started punching him too. I went to my parents' house and I've been staying there since. But my husband keeps wanting me to come back. What should I do? Story time about how my husband left me for my twin brother. I, female, 25, have been married to my husband for 6 months. When we started dating, it was just casual. I never thought I would marry this man, but it happened. We had a pregnancy scare, and that's when he told me that if I was pregnant, that he would marry me. We took a few pregnancy tests, and most of them came out positive. So we were convinced we were having a kid together. Of course, he asked me to marry him, and not until 3 months later did we decide to go to the doctor. And as soon as we got to the doctor, they said, "You're not pregnant." We couldn't believe it, but nonetheless, we were still married. He and I weren't exactly soulmates. When we started dating, we had a lot of fun together, but my friends would always make comments about him possibly being gay. I never took him seriously because he was interested in me, a woman. Sometimes my male friends would say, "Oh, he stares at me a lot," or that he would ask them to go out for drinks by themselves. I thought he was just trying to be nice and getting to know my friends. Obviously, I was wrong. My twin brother and I don't have a really close relationship. We had a falling out when he found out that I was pregnant. He thought I was ruining my life by having a kid, but it turns out I wasn't pregnant. So we started getting close again. He would come over to our house and spend a lot of time with my husband and I. But then I realized that they were doing naughty things together. Follow for part 2. Story time about how my husband left left me for my twin brother. I would come home and find my twin brother on the couch with my husband. Of course, I just thought they were trying to get to know each other. I mean, we just got married and all. Got to the point where my brother was coming over to my place every single day. And my husband and him would hang out all day together. My husband works from home, so he's always there. Own my own business, so I'm usually not home before 3 p.m. Every time I would come home, my twin brother was already there. Actually, I told my twin brother he needed to give me and my new husband our privacy. That's when he said that I was overreacting and that he was just trying to get to know him. Then he said, "Are you jealous?" I looked him straight in the face and I said, "Why should I be jealous? You're my twin brother." Then he laughed, got up, and left my house. And just like that, I knew something was going on. In part 1, I told you guys about those friends that warned me about my husband being gay. I decided to call on my friends and ask them to tell me why they thought my husband might be gay. They gave me lists. And I started writing everything down. And everything started connecting. I'd come to the realization that I married a gay man and that he was possibly having an affair with my twin brother. I mean, could things get worse? I decided to confront my husband. What he told me literally shocked me. Part 3 is up. Story time about how my husband left me for my twin brother. I confronted my husband. He told me that my brother essentially had been following him around and wouldn't leave him alone. In other words, he was putting all the blame on my brother. But instead of believing him right away, I grilled him. Started asking him questions about his past, like why he had never had a relationship before me with another woman, why all of my friends, literally all of them, thought he was gay. Of course, he denied everything, so I got on the phone and called my brother. I asked him to come over really quick, and he did. And of course, I started interrogating him too. That's when I told my husband to repeat what he had told me. But he couldn't. He looked at my brother and said, "Sorry, I told her the truth." My brother said, "Which is?" And my husband says, "You won't leave me alone and that you've been harassing me." That's when my brother tried to swing at him. Then my brother spilled all the beans. He said that on my wedding night, my husband and him made out. And that after that, my brother would come to our house after I left every single morning to be with my husband and to do all the nasty things they wanted to do to each other. My brother told me that the one who started it was my husband. I looked at my husband and he couldn't deny anything. I divorced him the next day. My now ex is trying to convince my brother to be in a relationship with him, but he doesn't want to. And my dad is hunting my ex down. Bye.
So the Cecil Hotel has become known as the deadliest and most infamous of all time. I'm honestly sitting here and I'm like, I don't even know where to start on this hotel. But if you don't already know what this hotel is, it's been the inspiration for several documentaries, a Stephen King novella, and an entire series of American Horror Story, and honestly so much more. This place ended up gaining the reputation as being the place where serial killers could let down their hair, but that's not at all what it was originally intended to be. The Cecil Hotel opened its doors between 1920 to 1927. It had a beautiful marble lobby, 15 floors, and about 700 different rooms. And this was supposed to be the place for traveling businessmen and Hollywood tourists. But within 5 years of it opening, America sank into the Great Depression. And almost overnight, the Cecil Hotel ended up becoming a boarding house for the poor, the desperate, criminals, and people who were trying to hide or run away from something. And the first death occurred in 1927, but this was about to be far from the last. The hotel soon became plagued with people completing unalivings and also many accidental deaths. But murder is just an entirely other animal. And by the 1980s, Richard Ramirez, otherwise known as the Night Stalker, would show up to the hotel. Go to the next part. So this is the dark history behind the Cecil Hotel. So in the 1980s, Richard Ramirez ended up getting a room at the Cecil. His name ended up being the Night Stalker because he would always stalk his victims. And he would come back at the end of the day after looking for victims along Skid Row, and he would just walk back into the hotel, change in the back alleyway, and people at the hotel would see him with blood all over his clothes, and they just accepted. Like, you would think that someone would notify the authorities or, like, at the bare minimum, kick him out. But not at the Cecil. And if he wasn't already scary enough, he was a literal Satan worshiper. Not to be confused with Satanists. And soon after this, a fan of his by the name of Jack Uderwager came all the way from Australia, where he was already convicted from killing someone else and then was released, came to the Cecil Hotel to start to emulate Richard Ramirez's crimes. While to the public, he was considered a minor celebrity for being a journalist. And this really is what started to change the hotel as being referred to as Hotel Death. But then the hotel gathered an entirely new reputation in 2013. The death of 21-year-old Elisa Lam has been the inspiration behind so many podcasts, documentaries, videos, and she wanted to stay at a place that was marketed for like hip young people, which was the Stay on Main. But unbeknownst to her and a lot of other people who went to go stay at the Stay on Main, the Stay on Main was just the Cecil Hotel rebranded. A very eerie video of her came out on an elevator soon after she went missing, which is what brought so much attention to this case. And soon after, she was found dead in the water tower of the hotel after people in the hotel had been drinking that water for days. But there's still so many sinister details surrounding this hotel, and it also mind boggles me, how could all of this just happen in one spot? Is there something more evil or malevolent going on? I had the opportunity to go to the Cecil Hotel to see if there were some answers. It is by far the most terrifying video I've ever made, and I was a little scared to upload it, but it's on my YouTube.